Tom Brady is often called the greatest quarterback who ever played in the NFL. His retirement today marks the end of a football era. Jeffrey Brown has this look at Brady's long career.
One person who watched many of those Tom Brady highlights is Al Michaels. He'll call this year's Super Bowl on NBC on February 13th. It'll be Al Michaels' 11th Super Bowl, and that's tying Pat Summerall for the most all time. So I'll start by saying congratulations to you.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. I can't believe it's gone by so fast. I did my first one in 1988 in San Diego, and it's gone by at warp speed. And when they say time flies when you're having fun, I've had a lot of fun.
Well, let me get this out of the way right at the top, because this idea of greatest of all time is very subjective. Where do you come out on this one?
You know, I always say, I put somebody in the conversation. When they say, is he the best ever? I normally say he's in the conversation, because it is very subjective and people have different viewpoints. There are different generations. It's tough to match up what happened in the 40s with what happened in the 90s and in the 21st century. But in this particular case, I think I've got to finally admit that he is the greatest of all time. And I think one of the reasons would be when you win 7 Super Bowls and you go to 3 others and you play in a league with 32 teams, the law of averages says you should win 7 Super Bowls in over 200 years. He did it in 2 decades. So I'm putting him on top.
You know, I'm thinking of the non-sports audience, the non-football audience. You know that any NFL quarterback is an elite athlete, right? Just to get there. And then what is it that makes somebody the elite of the elite? What did Tom Brady have, or what did he see that was different from others?
Well, I think he was driven. A lot of those quarterbacks are, there's no doubt about that. He was completely invested. I think as his career went along, he was enjoying it maybe more than ever toward the end. And I think he was driven by whatever it was inside of him to keep it going, to never let people down, in particular his teammates, to try to get better. And coaches are always saying, and players are always saying, we're trying to get better. And a lot of times it's pretty much empty talk. They're trying to get better, but, you know, they're doing other things as well. With Brady, he truly was trying to get better. He understood every aspect of the game inside out. He was matched up with a great coach, obviously, in Bill Belichick. And I think that Tom, having obviously some fine physical skills, but plenty of quarterbacks do, and maybe he was just a touch above in his dedication to the game, the dedication to his craft, the way he took care of his body, and obviously the way he performed.
You clearly saw a lot of great performances. Is there a personal highlight you want to give to us?
Well, I did a lot of his great games. The one game I did not do, though, is the Super Bowl where he's down 28-3, and he leads them to an overtime victory against the Atlanta Falcons. But I wound up doing his very last game a couple of weeks ago, the divisional playoff in Tampa against the Rams. The game is over. It looks like it's over at 27-3, and I'm kidding around with the audience saying, don't touch that dial, to try to keep the audience. And then I said, just before halftime, if I'm Brady, I go into that locker room and I say, hey guys, let me tell you a bedtime story. I was once down 28-3 and we won the game. And sure enough, they tie the game at 27-all. And it looks like if he's going to ride off into the sunset, he has another game to ride off in and maybe another Super Bowl. But of course, the Rams won that game. Still, I think back, you know, that's as fond a memory as I'll have of Tom Brady. His last game, everybody thinks they're dead. All of a sudden, he comes from behind, puts them in a position to win the game, and almost pulls it off.
And let me ask you finally, you know, playing to the age of 44, he's that rare athlete in any sport to excel at different times in his life and then to play that long at such a high level. How important was that when you consider his legacy?
He's a freak. He came from another planet. You don't do this. You don't play. I mean, you can play till you're 44 and you're not going to look very good. You play when you're 44, you lead the league in touchdown passes, passing yardage, set a record for most completions, almost get your team into the conference championship game. That's otherworldly. That's from some other place. I don't know where that comes from.
All right, Al Michaels on the extraordinary career of Tom Brady. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
And thank you both, Jeffrey Brown and Al Michaels. And Tom Brady came from another planet.